I remember when I was 12, my parents and I, we took a tour at the Walt Disney Animation Studio in Orlando, and it was wonderful to actually see an animation studio, but however, it was apparent that the secrets that they have was definitely elusive to the outsider. Because here as a tourist, we were behind a plexiglass, so that plexiglass was pretty much like a solid metaphor for like that veil as mystery. But so flashing forward, I still wanted to learn animation, but just it was impossible at the time, because in order to learn, you would have to go to out-of-state university or a private college or even overseas, and it was virtually impossible for me at the time. Earlier last year or so that I started to take animation courses, and I'm telling you, I have seen so many online animation courses, but there was always still that veil of mystery. Flash forward to this year, I came across AMB's YouTube channel, AMB Real Animators Training, and I was blown away. I just couldn't believe, the knowledge that he was putting out there, the lectures that he was doing. It just pretty much ripped that veil of mystery off the face of the earth. And the thing that really sets his archive, his online lectures and stuff apart from everyone else is the basics. That's the one thing that a lot of the books, a lot of the online animation stuff lack, was the extreme basics, And when I started on that archive, I started understanding the spacing, the timing, the arcs, the slow in, the slow out. And with each exercise, it builds up on each other. And as a result, I start seeing, the arcs. I start understanding and timing things in my head. And it was just so fascinating. And because of that, it just helped revive, my lifelong desire of learning animation. And it just made me so happy that I'm able to pursue and to dream of becoming an animator. So thank you.
So, are you going to join the library?
Hello and welcome once again to another edition of AMB Animation Livestream. Right, so I'm going to be returning to something that I don't know if some of you remember what I did a little while back on one of my live streams. You guys requested that I animate Baloo and Rebecca dancing from the old Disney TV show Talespin, and I did 2 live streams on that are still currently available for free viewing on my channel, so you can catch up with those if you want to after seeing this one, if you haven't seen this one. And I took it to a stage where I wanted to kind of finish it up a bit, but then I'm gonna build on it. I think it's just nice to have some scenes before and after, otherwise having it just finish where it finished, I think it's worth doing. But it was a very boring process that I did off stream, and I did it in stages because it was so boring that I was doing it in stages while I was doing other stuff. And I'll just, I'm gonna come back and say hello to the chat. But before I do, I'll just show you, just to remind you what all that was about. So for those of you who are online, you're going to get to see what I've done. So remember this particular thing, what we animated, and I fully in-betweened it and everything. Let's put it into this view. So in the stream, I very quickly familiarized myself with the two characters because I've never really drawn them before. Then I took some thumbnail drawings. I did some thumbnail drawings of people dancing. Where are we? Here we are. Just went on a YouTube video, saw some live action, took some thumbnail drawings of people dancing. Then I went and proceeded to try and make sense of those thumbnail drawings. And I did this. Then I went and I put the two characters in those poses. And as said, you can watch these live streams on my YouTube channel. I haven't taken them down. They're free. They're fun. Then I thought, well, they're going to need a background, right? So I'm jumping the gun a bit, but I kind of I didn't, you won't see this, okay? Because I did this off stream, the background stuff. Because as I said, it's very boring. You can see I've kind of worked out the background looking at some reference images from an episode of Talespin called My Fair Baloo and some stills. And then I had gone and kind of figured out what I was going to do for that. But anyway, so I went and did more with the characters and drew them on model. And again, you can see me doing this and in-betweening, telling you how to animate Rebecca's skirt and all that in those two live streams. Then off stream, I cleaned up the animation and in-betweened it all and timed it. Now, I wanted it all on twos. Because it's all on twos, I don't want to spend too long on this. As you know, I'm making my own projects. I don't want to waste. I've wasted enough of my time drawing other people's characters throughout my animation career. This is my time to do my gold now, right? My ideas, my characters. But I thought it's fun. It took me down memory lane animating these Disney quality characters. So I thought, well, I'll put it on twos, but then I was left with a dilemma because the background then would be moving on ones and then they'd be moving on twos. Now that can work because I broke down a Naruto fight scene, as some of you know, and that was going on, and they did kind of get away with it, but with this kind of animation it's difficult. So I kind of roughed out this freehand with a bit of perspective on the floor. I roughed out this freehand movement that I wanted, and I said, okay, well, maybe I'll be able to pull it off and I'll have the background on twos. Now, some of you will be saying, well, I would have liked to have seen how you did that. Well, unfortunately, if you're going to want to see that, there's a 10-part series available on my live stream, in my live stream library, the Real Animator Training Library, called the Dynamic Perspective Animation. So then I went and I sort of drew over my roughs with ruler, right? And you can see that if you're keen-eyed, you can see that the perspective is not 100%, but I don't care, right? Because the characters are going to be like here and we're going to block out all the frames. And I just wanted to get through this really quickly. Now, you'll also notice that I animated some shadows moving. Well, because I had to individually paint each and every one of these frames, right? So let me quickly show you. You can see I was getting so bored that I was drawing images of my wife and all kinds of things because this is the most boring. This I would gladly advocate CG for backgrounds or whatever, but just to show you that you can do it by hand, okay? For those of you that say, well, you're always preaching, but it's a waste of time, you know, we're looking at the characters. But anyway, let me show you what the various stages of that looks like. So I'll just go into my video folder. So originally we had the line test of the characters. There they are dancing away. Okay, so here we can see they are dancing away. Then I started to put the background behind them to see how that would work. And I said, well, some of that perspective looks a bit odd, so I'm going to have to think about how I can salvage that because it didn't really fit to the background the way I wanted it. So then I decided to go on to something simpler like this, where I would pan and scan around a certain point and it was looking a little bit more presentable. So I then confidently went and succeeded to color in those characters. Again, if you want to know how to do this, then don't watch me, right? Because I'm teaching you how to animate. This, if you know, read a software manual, learn how to press the fill button, learn how to close all your lines, and use Photoshop to fill, right? So then I put them on the background, and we can see I sort of tested that line background that was working there. And I said, okay, well, we may need a little bit of tweaking. So a little bit of tweaking before I decided. Now I will show you before I go any further with this. I will open up Photoshop and I will show you, where is it? GDP 2022. GDP standing for Growth, Development and Progress. So I have this background layers here. So what I did is I kind of worked out a color key, right? Boop, 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 boom. I worked out a color key, which looks like something like, I hope this is the color key. Yeah, something like that, which, you know, quick, not, you know, something to give me an idea to move on. And then I tweaked the colors, and then I started to make each frame look like this. Okay, so you got frame 1 here, you got frame 2 here, right? You got frame 3 here, you got frame 4 here, right? I'll just go up to frame 5, right? There's altogether 14 frames of these, right? And you've got a reflection on the floor, so you can see a little colored tint that I painted there, reflection on the floor. You got the shadows that I animated of that, all right? You've got the curtains, you've got the carpet, all right? You've got the beam, the balls of the beam, they're like that. And you've got the, what's this? You've got the beams, and then you got the wall, all right? Now, yes, I did individually paint each and every one of these frames, but I didn't painstakingly do it, right? I literally painted one frame, and because I had drawn everything worked out, I would cut and transform and shift the things neatly in the spaces that were nicely drawn, all right? So there was a little bit of software, exploiting the software to do that, right? Now, as I said, this whole thing would have looked better in CG and worked better in CG, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to just do it for my own sake. And we ended up with stuff like this. So I'll show you the various stages. So then I treated the background. Oopsie. I show you how I treated the background, give it some direction to blend it all in. We're going to do some animation today, but I'm just showing you where it all went. Oopsie, that's the dark. That was a dark layer. That was kind of pointless showing you that. I opened the wrong one. Here we go. So you got a Gaussian blur to put things out of focus. It'll hide the jumping, dancing paint strokes to, you know, that detract the eye and all that kind of stuff, and all that sort of stuff. So we've got that, and now what we ended up having is the compositions. So the first composition, untreated, we had something like, oopsie, no, that's kind of treated, right? So yeah, this is what we had, right? So that was it without any additional camera work, right? So we can see what it's looking like here. The 3D background, hand animated 3D background is looking fairly convincing, but I wanted to push it even more, so I decided to put some here. I decided to play with the lighting to see if I could like wash out the lighting a little bit. And now here I've started putting additional camera moves on it to put everything, to give it that one's feeling of everything. So a little bit of slight camera work on the movie file to give it that feel. And then in the end we went for this. So that's where I kind of took the stage of the animation. So you can see the whole illusion works kind of nicely. So now what I'm going to be doing next is I am going to be animating scenes around it. All right, so an after and a so here we've got, so the next scene that's going to hook up is after he drags her away. I've blocked out the keys, and we're going to be doing some breakdowns on this today, right? So you're going to watch me doing breakdowns on this. So he's whisked her off her feet, hair like this, and we're going to continue to her face, enjoying being put down. She looks at him, and then she's going to rest her head on his shoulder, right? So that's, we're going to be looking at, we're going to be animating more on this today. Now, before I do that, I am going to come into the chat because I didn't really say hello to anyone. So I'm just going to quickly say a few hellos, see what's going on in the chat, and then we're going to start animating further on this particular scene. I'm going to enjoy this. This is a lot of fun. So I was waiting to get all that time-consuming, boring stuff out the way that I really didn't want to do, but I did it in pieces and stages. It's so boring, all that background stuff. But it had to be done. And I want to take it further with some scenes before and after. I think before they're dancing, I might have a shot of Shere Khan sipping some wine at a table and looking, with great disgust at these two. Then after this shot, we'll have Baloo sort of looking and gulping, and then I might end it there. All right, let's go on to the chat. What do? We do this, don't we? And we turn this off. Right, so before we continue with this, let's see. Mr. Leon is here. Hello, Mr. Leon. How are you? Shekhar Sharma, Cameron Allen Davidson Black, Silver Sun Charlene. We've got Charlene Giles. Infinite Sky has deleted his comment. Sheba Slump, the adorable Kitcha Cat, SRJV, long time no see. Afro Prince, how are you? Always about me with you, AMB. What's it gonna be about? When's it gonna be about you? Well, remember the old song in Pocahontas? Mine for the taking. What happened? What animation program? Infinite Sky. It's not an animation program, all right? It doesn't matter, all right? As I said, when you watch me, you learn how to animate. When you watch somebody else who doesn't know how to animate, they talk about the program. I lovingly call the animation program the toilet, okay? You never sit on a toilet and look for the logo of what basin you've planted your ass in. You sit on it and you do your business. Life Fantasy is here. Ballerina had a stroke. Oh no, Charlene. I'm so sorry to hear that. What after what happened with Rocky? All my best to Ballerina. Charlene, I'm very sorry to hear that. All right. See, I care about the people in my chat a lot. So just bear with me while I'm just seeing that everything's okay there. Octavio, how are you? Thank you, Renata. Mute Midori Animations. AMB Bunny Lady. Okay, so there we are. That is the chat. Okay, right. So let us jump in and continue doing some animation. I'm going to enjoy this stream today because I'm just going to be doing what I always do, but I'm sharing that process with you guys today. As usual, this is, could potentially edutainment material, so there's going to be a lot of informal chat. if you've got any questions or you want to ask me anything related to animation or drawing or art. It doesn't have to be just about what we're doing, motivation. Fire away in the chat, and I'll be reviewing comments while I draw. All right. Okay, so we have now. Why isn't this working? Yeah, this is working now. Have I got two Storyboard Pros open? Let me just put that down. No, I don't. Okay, right. So that'll just be instant crash if that is the case. So we have this and this, right? So as he's sweeping her off her feet, we're gonna want to slow in into this, and we're gonna come down like bouncing ball principles here, right? So a lot of time is gonna go between here and here. So timing wise, I'm gonna have this for almost maybe a second, right? Maybe because it's a very, I want this to be a lasting moment between the two. So this is going to be a big kind of slow in here, right? So I'm going to have to really think about my timing. So we're going to come up and then he's going to put her down. So really, if I'm looking between here and here, the first one I'm going to want to solve is this, right? Right? So between here and here. You could just put it half, but I want to extend the time point. So what I'm going to think is the arc is just going to come down like this, right? So, but I've got her opening her eyes gradually. Now I might want her, no, not opening her eyes. I'm thinking out loud. I might want her to start opening her eyes before she comes down. So as this mouth is going up, I want to think about what I'm going to do, right? I might have her level her head up like this. Remember, I always want to change things before the sudden you know, the big bounce of the ball. So I might have her kind of calm down a bit, right? She's opened her mouth very, like she's really enjoying being swept off her feet. So then I might think about her open her eyes and look lovingly, not quite as lovingly because that's the point of the scene at the end. So as you hear me talking, I don't really know just yet, right? I'm thinking out loud of the possibilities of what might be going on in my mind, right? So I'm gonna think about having her mouth just half open here like this. Yeah. That's added a whole new dimension to it, right? So the reason why I'm keeping her up here is I want to really slow into this point, right? I wanted this to be lasting almost a second worth of animation. So this will take around about, just so timing in my head, I'm thinking this will take about 12 frames. This will take about 12 frames. It doesn't have to religiously be a second, right? So again, it looks like I'm really focusing on the model of the character, but not really, right? I'm just doing it more for the sake of my acting. So these ears are gonna come up, the hair is gonna come down just a tad, right? So we have then she's gonna drop hair like this, right? So then hair, as she drops, so the hair is already gonna start. She's got quite heavy hair, so the hair is already gonna start coming back on itself. I don't want too much movement going on in the body here. Right, she's being held, right? So that's the middle line. The arm can kind of stay where it is. The hand can kind of stay where it is. Right. Just breaking things down at the moment. Bum, bum. That's better, right? So now we've got something to slow that down. How do you make characters stay in shapes so solid? The law of solid drawing is basically Mr. Leon is keeping quiet today. He knows the secret science of shape simplification. So making characters seem solid is, one of the reasons we start with bouncing balls is every one of these things you're seeing me draw is a shape. So I've got to be able to keep a bouncing ball solid, right? And when I draw the squash and stretch of that bouncing ball, I'm going to want to be able to draw it and make it feel like the mass is distributed properly, like this is the same ball being distributed, right? Now, if I'm going to draw this ball, let's use this character as a perfect example. I'm going to then think about putting other bouncing balls in it. Maybe one bouncing ball in the middle of the eye line like this, right? Now I might think of putting a kind of like shape like this, right? Here like this, and keeping that solid, right? And then another bouncing ball on there, and then two lines here like this, and then two more bouncing balls around here like this, right? Then I'll start building on that, right? So you got to learn how to move basic shapes. It's the secret science of shape simplification, right? Around the back is then this shape, right? Which is all basically bouncing balls. Again, here this is just this shape, like this, right? Here this could be a triangle for now, right? But it's all basic, shapes, right? Then you need to think about how those shapes line up with each other. So I need to work my pose a bit better, right? So that's it. That's literally all there is to it. It's a very quick demonstration. Many people like to work with flour sacks. Now you're wasting your time working with a sack like this, right? Especially if you're a beginner, because you're learning jack shit about shapes, right? If your goal is you want to draw people, AMB Animation, Real Animated Training, has devised a flour sack which is a much more, shapely sack which can be turned into a person, right? So eliminate the head, but the head can go there, and then this shape has got contours on it, right? So it's like this kind of thing, so this will help you, and then you'll start to learn to squash and stretch this shape. I will give later on I will give you a link to my training program, which has various archives. Okay, the basic archive, you're dedicated to a bouncing ball and a swinging pendulum. You do nothing but that, and you apply that to a stick man, just like I showed you how this is made of bouncing balls. You apply that to a stick man made of those shapes, right? Those bouncing ball shapes. So those are the 6 laws of movement, right? And then we'll move on to the 6 laws of life with the flour sack, where you learn how to make more appealing shapes and squash and stretch them and all those kind of things. So you need to train yourself just like a bodybuilder, just like an athlete. What you see is, you see me, I'm basically an athlete, right? You're seeing all of the training at its highest level coming together, right? But you got to train to get to this level. So you got to train yourself with working with basic shapes, working with appealing shapes, animation law, and that's how you get things to be solid with the law of solid drawing. All right. So it's something that takes time. A professional basketballer is throwing his hoops, he's doing his fitness, his running, his pull-ups, his whatever, but you just watch the basketball. You don't watch him doing all that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes underneath and behind all this to get to this level, which is why I've been here for the past 5 years, building the world's best learning resource in the craft of hand-drawn animation, and sharing it with you all as I demonstrate these techniques. So hair, she's hair like this. She's going to be hair. So, and then she's going to drop down, right? So now I will think of another pose of her being put down. So as she's hair. So now, as she gets put down, all right, we need to think about the acting and the arc. So as she gets put down, she's not just simply going to be dropped down. New. That's what little babies do. All right, let me show you something which I don't need to do, act out myself, but I want to show you the principle. So let me say that I've got this lovely fair maiden in my hands, and I'm sweeping her off her feet, right? And she's a heavy thing. Or heavy person, sorry. Well, sorry, I didn't call you heavy. I'm kind of getting my foot in it now, right? So you've got the in your hands. You're not just gonna let it go poof like that, right? You're gonna. So she's looking lovingly at me. Well, that I'm gonna put her down carefully. So what have I just done? I've gone like this, and I've gone like this. So I've changed the arc. I haven't gone. Even there, I've gone up, right? You see how the law of arcing works? So I haven't just gone boom. I haven't just gone whoop, boom, right? So this is what separates feature animation or real animation from simple nuts and bolts digital puppetry. Oh, the art just goes like that and the computer will fill it in for you. So you're going to go up and down, right? So now let's show you how. So the original thing was like boom, 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 right? So, but now we've kind of slowed it down where she'll open her eye here. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So now he's going to bring her up. So we're not just doing a bouncing ball, which is like really slowing down at there and then suddenly speeding up down here. No. Some of you probably thought I was going to do that. Right? You probably need more real animator training, right? The real stuff, we're gonna pick her up a little bit, right? So as she gets picked up a little bit, maybe I can do something now, secondary action with her face. I can make her think, ooh, right? Or whatever. Ooh, dear. Ooh, missus. Ooh. So she's gonna be picked up before going down. Now, even though I just put that little head there, right? And then those morons on those chats, they say basically, you got to get your drawing down to be able to animate. If you can draw, you can animate. Fuck off, right? Basically, you can see the law of arcing coming in here. Everything's like, now there's going to be so much more subtlety and weight to this. And what is it? It's almost like a figure of 8. Like she's going around there and then here and then up this way and then down. So not quite figure of 8, but it's this kind of thing. Anyway, let's continue to show you what I mean. Yeah, you got it. Right, put her down like a right. So anyway, let's talk a little bit. Let's. I'm not going to focus on solid drawing right now, even though I get solid drawing even when I don't even try. But so we're going to put the nose hair like this, right? And I'm going to indicate an expression. Now, this is nowhere the kind of drawing that when I want to do, right? But I'm going to indicate something like what's going on now, right? Ooh, right, right. She's having so much fun. These two they kind of indicated that they were together in the show, but they never really did anything more with that. So on my take, I'm making them completely like it obvious she likes Baloo, right? So here there's going to be like this, right? Bum, 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 bum. And then I'm gonna, now I haven't even got his arm in there anymore, so I'm getting extremely abstract, and that's okay at this point, right? I can come back and tweak it. Bum, 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 bum. Right. So, gone up this way. And there's a little bit of forward momentum here, right? And the timing, remember, this is almost going to take 1 second, like 20 frames, 18 frames, I'm thinking. Then the 24 frames are going to, it's going to be 1 complete second. Yeah, 18. See the way I think everything in quarter of a second chunks. So about 18 frames here, plus another 6 frames, which is a quarter of a second. We have got 24 frames. So all timing in my head while I animate. Okay, I'm not having to scrub the timeline and go, does it feel right? Am I getting the right feel for it? You know, bit of wank, pulling and playing till it feels nice. Real animators don't do that, right? We know how to time, law of timing, first cause law, the law of timing, all the time thinking of it in my head as I'm animating, right? So, just so, if you do that, don't do that. Think about your timing, right? Don't let the machine tell you how to animate. All right? You're the animator, you're the real, that's why my program is called Real Animator Training Library. You're the real animator, right? Next time somebody asks me what program you're using, I'm going to say Real Animator Training, right? That's what program I'm using. AMB Animation, Real Animator Training. Right, so now as she's being lifted up here, she's going to be put down. So the arc is going quite circular. It's forward arc here. So I don't just want to put it down like that. I'm going to bring it around and in. So we're going to be putting her, I'm going to put her a little bit on a third here like this. Because I want there to be a little bit of space going on in here, right? And I'm going to keep the head here like this. I'm going to keep the eyes open, right? Again, here at this level, I'm not thinking at all. She's going to close her mouth at this point. That's what I'm thinking about. But I'm not thinking about, am I drawing the expression right, right? However much of a badass, however great I am, I don't have that ability. No one does, to immediately start drawing in details when you're trying to think of personality and acting, right? That's what we want. That's what the law of life is, right? Right, so now she's being put down like that. Right, so then the hand, maybe his hand is going to be here. Her hand is going to be up like this. Something like that, right? Now, how's that working? There we go, right? Let's put it into the camera view, right? So now you can see these all need breakdowns because they're really like so up and then down. And remember, there's going to be like, this is 24 frames worth of stuff. Then she's going to go straight down into this and into this, right? If it pops too much, I'll have to put a 1 in there, right? Now we need the recovery, right? We need to come out of it, right? So, let's see what Mr. Leon has said in the chat. Puppeteering messes with your brain since you're not learning the construction of the character. Whenever a problem arrives, you don't know how to solve it because you haven't been studying structure and you don't know how to draw it. That's right, but you're referring to it as the right thing. Puppeteering, okay? It's not animation. What I'm sharing with you here is real animation, right? I'm here to create the distinction to those who want to know. To those who don't want to know, fine, keep doing what you're doing. I'm here to help the people that want to draw, that are worried about why they can't draw, and I'm here to tell you, you're confused, okay? You've been duped. Animation is no longer animation. It's digital puppetry. Right? And you're playing with puppets. You're a natural artist. You're a natural draftsman. I'm speaking to you who draws, okay? You draw And there's nothing wrong with that. I draw, and I'm here to help you understand that you're a real animator, and I'm going to help you draw and animate, okay? So that's what we're doing right now. So now we're going to be coming out of this. So up, down, around, down, in. We're going to be coming out of this position. So the arc coming out of this position is the bounce. Now we could have her circle her head up here like this. Boom, boom, boom. But I don't want to do that because I want her to look back at Baloo, right? So I'm gonna have her dip her head down as if she's almost here. It's a very kind of like in love kind of expression, right? So I want to delay that before she looks up. So all the time I'm thinking about the acting, right? Thinking about the acting here. Gonna keep her eyes closed. It's gonna be slow. There's gonna be the kind of music. Never seen you looking so. It's gotta be a kind of Nelson Mandela-ish way of singing it. I don't know why. Never seen you looking so gorgeous as you did tonight. Never seen you shine so bright. You were amazing. I've never seen the dress you're wearing. Or the highlight in your hair that lights your eye. It's got to be that kind of feel, right? As you look, light and right. I just make myself laugh while I do it, right? Yeah. So she's gonna look up at him like that, just like that. Here, like this. Gonna have the. Just put a little bit of feel for the character in there, not really so concerned, but just enough to give me something to go on. The hair will be dropping down slowly and romantically, right? Bum, 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 bum. Just like this. This comes here like this. Bum, bum, bum. There, that's enough. You see, that's enough. You might look at like old footage of Mark Henn animating or people like that, and see they draw wispy like this when they rough. You can see, so she's here and he puts her down. So now you can see the change in the weight, in direction, and a little bit of the acting, which will all be refined as we draw those expressions in a lot nicer, right? There's a lot more arcing to do here, right? So between here and here, if there's time at the end of the stream, if there's time, because I'm going to tidy these drawings up before I do the next phase. Otherwise, I'll get too lost, okay? But this and this, right? This isn't just simply going to be like that. You know me, all right? Law of arcing. The fundamental laws of animation, those three fundamental laws are what make everything good, bad, average, good, great, amazing, right? So you see, I'm really changing the arc. So timing, we've talked about timing. I've already thought about timing. Already slowing in and slowing out with the timing, right? Going on even at this early stage. I'm not drawing any timing charts, okay? But then after this, we're going to then think arcing, right? So between here and here, right, it isn't just simply going to be like this. I'm going to put a little bit of an up arc, all right, on that, right? Why? Because it's going to anticipate the head turn. So a little bit of the law of life coming into the acting here, all right? We're anticipating the change in mood. She's now going to take over the scene. Right, he's physically picked her up and swept her off her feet, But just with a little look like this, she's going to bring him to his knees, right? So that's what this is all about. So we're going to anticipate that with an arc like that. So you see, I'm thinking about the acting as I'm doing this. It's all very important. So she's going to look up at him, maybe a double blink. You know I love my double blinks. Then she's going to rest her head on his shoulder. So the thing to do between hair and hair is she rests her head on his shoulder. I'm going to turn that off. Is we need to anticipate that, right? So let me just look. So I'm going to anticipate that it's going to be a subtle look up, and I'm going to rough this action out because it's something that I want to visualize. So I'm going to switch to straight ahead on this, right? Maybe I'm going to change the angle of the head. I'm going to tilt the head. I haven't done that yet, right? That'll might look a little bit nice. So I'm switching to straight ahead as I kind of figure out how I want her to rest her head on his shoulder, right? So she's going to do that. Isn't this fun? I'm not fooling around with puppets and wondering how I'm going to work around anything. I draw anything I want, any way I want, however I want. It's all me, baby, as Silver Sun said. I'm no slave to anything, right? And if the computer crashes and I have to do it again, it's, you've seen how fast it is, right? Good to remember to save, but all right, so we're going to do this. I'm going to keep her, and now we're going to close her eyes at this point. Right, so we're going to close her eyes. Boom, boom. Yeah, the head tilt is perfect there. Now I'm acting it out to myself. So she's going to like raise her nose up before putting it down there, right? So then the head tilt is going to level up, right? Then it's going to come down again. Right, so anticipate that, level that up. Look this way with the nose. So very rough, you see? Very rough. But I want to expose that part of the neck. So I'm not even drawing it to model. We're going to see a bit of her underside of her. These drawings are going to be more challenging to do, but that's okay. When I say challenging, I just remember nothing's challenging for me. I always solve it. So we're just going to rough it out there. Don't frighten yourself, all right? Remember that you have all the ability and all the skill, right? And you'll solve it. You'll solve it. It's okay. Head is gonna go like that. Yeah, that's a nice arc. So I'm animating this last bit a lot more in rough because I want to visualize the movement. It's like the closing to the scene, right? And maybe as that happens, I'm gonna anticipate him by having his hands lower a little bit further away from her before they come in to create the space between them, right? Like this, boom. So let's see how that works. Do you have tips on how to draw a good cleanup? Yeah, lock it down, tie it down. You're going to watch me doing a bit of tying down now, right? So anyway, the tip on how to draw a good cleanup is don't try to clean up like an illustrator, right? Now, illustrators and many people, and I've noticed this coming on the online community, it's so funny how people tell me you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that or that's called chicken scratch. I laugh my butt off because a lot of these people, what have they done with their lives? Where have they worked? What have they done? What level have they worked? Who have they worked with? Oh, they're reading forums. And they say drawing like this is called chicken scratch, right? Well, if you want to clean up drawings to this level, right? And this isn't even a particularly high level. I rushed it. You're going to want to be able to, you're going to have to understand how to fine line a drawing and keep those lines consistent with the next frame. This isn't one drawing, Mr. Illustrator. This isn't one drawing, Mr. Digital Painter. Sit down before you hurt yourself, bud. We're dealing with plenty of drawings that all have to correlate with each other. So I'll stick to my chicken scratch while you go pull and play with your paint. All right? So basically, you want to tidy up a line like this. You got many options. If you was gonna be like if you were gonna do like a one-off drawing, you don't have volume of the next frame to think about for consistency. So you can do all this business till your heart's content, right? You can go, oh, look at that, look at my line. I'm being all like, yeah, one stroke, mate. Just one stroke and I came, mate. No, you don't have to be like that, right? Because we got to deal with a lot of drawings. They've all got to have the volume, right? So we're gonna build the line like this. Now with the vector brush, it looks a bit unclean, right? But that's okay. We can thicken thin, and that's how we get a thick and thin line on it. So it can be a bit thicker there, it can be a bit thinner there, right? But with the vector brush, it's not soft and it doesn't blend in like a pencil would. This is almost like cleaning with ink. And ink is more suited to that kind of drawing, right? So in the old days on cell, they would trace ink on cell over a clean pencil drawing, which was, the pencil drawing was very much done like this, right? Sometimes you'd go long and then you'd join it with little lines. But those are the way the pencil cleanup artists work, right? And I've worked with people who have been cleanup supervisors on Prince of Egypt. They've been my assistants in the UK on Fairy Liquid commercials. You know, doesn't matter what you worked on. You all kind of meet somewhere. And I watched what they did. I watched how they cleaned my work up, and it was like that. So yeah, stuff to bear in mind. So hopefully that helps. Right. Yeah, you can create something with a pencil to this caliber easily. Right now I'm gonna come here and you're gonna watch me do something called tie down, which is what you need to do before you clean a drawing up, right? You need to tie it down. So I'm gonna start tying down some of these drawings. Did we look at the motion? Right, so it's here like this, right? So again, it's not timed, so certain bits will need more breakdowns. These are just all the keys. With the exception of this is broken down a little bit, right? So the end is there. So it's a bit quick at the moment. You're not really getting a feel for what's going on. But the main poses are in there, right? And for those of you who've missed it, I'm animating the... over the previous 2 live streams, they're still on my channel. You can watch that, but I'm kind of doing I'm doing the next scene that I did in this one. From somebody on a live stream asked me to animate Baloo and Rebecca dancing together, so we've animated this. There they are, they're dancing together, and hand animated the background, which slowed me down a bit, but I wanted to do that just for the sake of making an interesting stream. Although we didn't do that on the stream, but just a gimmick, really. And now we're going to be doing this stuff. And this stuff won't have it as much 3D illusion of 3D background, so it's going to go by a lot quicker. Alright, so first and foremost, let's do this one. This is a bit of an easier one, right? So let's make some sense out of this. Before I do that, I'm going to take this guy's shoulder here and I'm going to place it here so it gives me some context, and I'm going to be thinking more about just her. Right, let me lower my brush size down. So I've got the eye line here, which is all kind of worked out. So now I'm going to think about the shape of her eyes. So I'm going to open her eyes with a little bit of an eyelid there. And she's got 3 eyelashes on here. Again, I'm not trying to draw clean, alright? We're not doing that. She's got about 1 eye width in the middle, give or take. Right. So we've got something like that, right? So that will relate more to the next pose, right? I'll just see how these poses all relate, yeah? So now we're going to think about the expression, which we're going to keep just kind of like simple. So the eyebrows are the main expression. And they're going to come down. These come under the eye a little bit, not too much. She's more like this. I've got a tendency to come out like that, but she's more like this. And I can always go back and refer to the model sheet, which I don't have with me at the moment, but when I tweak it at the very end, if I think it's off model, I'll go and look at that. Now we're going to look at the snout, right? So the snout is going to be something like this, and the smile is going to still be pretty big, and the snout will sit on the smile line like that, and the nose will sit on either on the front and the top, and we'll unify it with a side line like that. So there we have the face occurring like this. There'll be a little ring there like that. We're going to close the mouth a little bit. The side of the mouth is like that, right? I'm going to show a little bit of tooth there, not too much. Maybe the eyes are a little bit big, but I'm going to leave it for now. As I said, this is just my first go, right, at getting the character to look like the character and put expression. The initial blocking that I did was pure animation, right? This is my first go at drawing, so I'm not going to be so concerned with getting the drawing 100%, but it'll be good enough, right? So the ear is going to come up. Now the ear is a shape like this, like that. Ba-ba-bum. Lots of scenes with lots of characters wearing. My supervisor is giving me much more action scenes, and you were right. The faster the character runs or moves, the easier it gets. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like the little subtleties that I've put into this scene, you can put them in action as well. And when I do the ground hopper, I'm going to do a few streams of fight choreography, how to choreograph a fight, how to put, like the way I've put personality into these moves, I'm going to put personality into a fight. So you're not just watching Jackie Chan style. Jackie Chan is great, by the way. He's got tons of personality, but you're not just watching lots of blocking, 100 blocks and 100 arms swiveling, or you're not just watching repetitive moves 5, 6, 7, 8 times, you know, which is what you see in a lot of anime fights, with moving camera and speed lines and the perspective changing, right? we're gonna put personality into the fight, right? We're gonna think about things like that, right? So she's here like this. Now her back is gonna arch where it's being held here as she's continuing to be swept off her feet. She's got collars that come around the side there like that. Not bothering too much about the necklace, just putting it on there for my own thing. In the end, we'll draw a ring and count how many pearls, and then not too many pearls, but obviously enough. Right, so her shoulders are up here, but the dress shoulder seam is at the side here like that, which gives it that nice feel like this. And then the under sleeve is here. But then, even though we won't see this, I like to animate it. It gives me a sense of drawing, getting the drawing richer. So this, maybe I'll have him coming up just a little bit. No, he'll maybe retract just a little bit, right? Let's retract him. I'll just move that there for now. It doesn't matter because I'll reanimate him. But the reason I'm retracting him is he's going to lift her up, right? So maybe these arms are going to come down. So in and out again, just subtle. I'll deal with these as a group of shapes, like that. Put that there, like this. We're an hour into the stream. Right, I feel we've covered a lot of stuff. It's a lot of fun. We looked at a lot of the previous animation, explained to you how that was done. Now we're doing this. So the hair is dropping down. Let's see how that works. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so the eyes catch up on itself and the mouth closes like that. Maybe I want that to be a little more subtle. Let's get rid of the eyeballs. Let's keep her eyes just a little bit more closed. She's hooked. She's having a good time. I want to feel the sudden change in this one. Yeah, that's better. Right. Right, so that's going to be about 18 frames in my mind. Doesn't have to be. Do you like to paint the animations? No, I hate it. I hate it. And I'm on the way to, as I'm expanding and increasing, I will eventually start paying people to color it in, whether they are beginners in my animation courses or students or anything. Who is I would rather just pay people to do that, because I've got better things to do with my time. I despise that aspect, especially when it is digital, because it's quicker when it's digital, but there's no, it's monkey work. It's not, it's not really creative. It's creative thinking of the color key and thinking of the mood and the tone, but then simply pressing select and fill and then closing any lines that aren't selected and filled is monkey work, right? So now we're going to change the expression here. So I'm going to focus on the eyes. So here's where I'm going to want to have those big eyes, right? And she's going to be kind of startled, right? like that. The eyebrow is going to come up and straight where her nose line is, right? And this one is going to come up here like this. Right. Just something like that. Right. So then here, again, we're going to think of the snout. Going to take the smile down slightly. Not too much. I still want her to smile. And put the nose here like this. Sit some there. Gonna give her a little bit of a kind of... I remember that I was making a silly, oh dear, oh, I'm free kind of voice. I did that to myself for a reason, right? I know it sounds like I'm having fun, and I sang that song in that funny voice, but I'm giving myself points to remember as I think of the acting what I want, right? So I want it to be kind of like almost like this kind of mouth shape, right? As she's being picked up, right? So then this is gonna come here under like this. And we have the... Now what I might do, let me check the sizing between this and this. Yeah, it kind of works. What I might do is I might move this higher, right? To lift her higher, right? That's gonna be a lot nicer, right? Gonna make the arc a lot nicer. Right, so I don't really need my underdrawing because I vaguely know the character, right? I may have to go and look at my model sheets afterwards, but if I can be bothered, it's close enough to smoke the cigar, I think. Right, so this is gonna come around here. Got this shape here like this. So again, I'm must stress, I'm just being as quick and accurately quick as I can, but my main purpose is to capture the life expression, right? I'm still not trying to be so solid. I'm trying to be solid. I'm not going to deceive you, but not. It's at the back end of my concerns, right? It's like I expect it to be solid, right? Solidish because of my level and my ability, right? So now this guy is going to be lifting her up, right? So I'm going to include a little bit of that in this frame. Notice here how I've got the working scapula and the shoulder here to kind of help me get the angle, right? So he's gonna be lifting her up. There's the ulna bone there coming underneath like that. There we go. That's enough for me to kind of figure that out. And her body is going to be more sort of straightening up like this, with her arm is going to be here, right? Now here I'm kind of imagining it. I'm clearly cheating things here. I'm not drawing his other hand lifting her, but we're looking at it in this frame. I don't want Baloo to be in the frame at all. I want it to be tight, right? So then here we've got her shoulder is going to be here, her clavicle, right? So as he's lifting her, her arm is going to be on his arm here. It's going to be straightening up to this position here like that. Right, I'm going to get rid of that. So again, you see very rough still. So all I'm interested in is getting close enough to give me something to work with to take the animation further, because these are just the keyframes, right? They're not, there's some breakdowns at the end, but these are just the keyframes, right? Extremes and keys, right? Now as he lifts her, we're gonna bring the hair through, so she's going this way, the hair is going this way, right? Gives you the law, the secondary law of opposing, well, the effect of opposing action from the law, follow through, overlap, and drag. Never forget animation law when you animate. I was about to call opposing action a law, which is wrong, right? So this, and go down here like this. Looking good. Let's have a quick look at that. Of course, I like to make storyboards before animating. Let me show you something. This is fun. I don't know if you know, I've been a head of story. 10 years of my life I spent in the animation industry. The other 10 years I spent as a storyboard artist, as a head of story. This is just fun knocking out content for you on a live stream. So I know how to storyboard in my head, but I'm making my own film. In the background you can see some mood boards on the wall. Some of you might be, I've switched into doing, going back to my sketch pads, because I just find it more interesting, and as I'm encouraging people to draw and I'm making a film. So here you can see me, these aren't full storyboards, they're the shots that I'm planning. And this side you got a lot more planning here. I've also got the bigger shot pages that I'm planning here. So a lot of storyboards are extremely important to filmmaking and animation. So all of these are shots. So he's lighting a fire here, but they're the shots. So there's got to be a lot more storyboarding going on in here. Yeah, so that's extremely important. If you don't storyboard, you're gonna fail, all right? But there's so much to learn with animation, and which is what I tell people who are members of the Real Animator Training Library. Storyboard isn't animation. Storyboard is storyboarding. If you want to learn animation, you got to focus on animation. If you want to learn story, it's like saying, are you a cameraman? Are you an actor? Are you a director? Are you a concept artist? People have this blanket term called animation, and they then think I'm an animator because it's a buzzword on the internet. Everyone's an animator when they're actually puppeteers, all right? With all due respect. But then they think all of that stuff is being an animator. No, it ain't, all right? It's an industry for a reason. So if you want to do animation, animation is predominantly the acting, the performance. Or if you talk about animation holistically in terms of the medium, then it's an umbrella term for all of the aspects of filmmaking. So you may as well talk about live action filmmaking like that as well. It's filmmaking, right? So you've got to understand, you've got to slow down and understand what it is you want to do, right? So there we go. Let's go back. What we're doing. Are there also laws for story? Yes, but I'm not going to go into that because there are, there's the laws of editing. There are the laws of, staging is very much part of that. But then there's the law of composition, the law of editing, the law of flow, which is continuity, which is involving in editing. But then continuity also refers to the composition, the camera angles, the lighting, continuity of script and storytelling. So I would need to really sit down and think about something like that to really explain you. I can't off the cuff talk about that while I'm animating this. Great question, KA. All right, now let's continue with this. So she's putting him down. He's putting her down. Right, put her down. Right, so here it's going to be almost straight now, but I like that. When I put them in there, I'm going to put a bit of drag and not make it entirely straight. Right. So I've got to focus on this and this, but I'm going to use this one for now. So here her expression is going to be a little bit different. I'm putting a bit of drag in her head, just like that. Bum, bum, bum. She's going to be looking up into his eyes. Right, I have to think about his eyes. His head is actually hair, so I may need to revise some of these drawings. So that's something I've thought about as I'm doing this. Eye line is extremely important when we are doing character animation. Right, so let's change that expression because it's going to go into this, right? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. So we're going to kind of anticipate the eyebrows, right? So a bit of the law of anticipation going on here right now. I'm going to do the snout. It's going to be up here. Don't be afraid to cut into the other eye with the nose when you do these kind of characters. I'm really enjoying doing my Groundhopper show because I've got a background in this kind of drawing. I love it, but I want a Groundhopper to not look like a typical Disney, generic Disney character. So I've tried to do certain things that have resulted in a more flatter look in some ways, but I'm prepared for that because I don't want him looking like a Talespin extra or some kind of Zootopia looking thing, which is what you see, and you see that with a lot of these Netflix shows with rabbits and things. They all look like they all belong in. That's the other great thing which I find so amazing is like because we live in the world of digital puppetry, Disney doesn't have quality anymore. Every studio looks like for me personally, when I see a some Netflix animation, whether it's a chicken hair or some other rabbit ninja, what is it, Usogi, Yojimbo or whatever, it all looks like Disney quality to me now. Pixar Disney quality. There's no real benchmark anymore for high grade stuff because they're all puppets, and once you've got a puppet you can pull the strings. What I love about hand drawn real animation is what makes it so advanced is down to the ability and skill of the individual artist. 100%. Right? So all that you see doing here is down to not just my drawing ability. I got to be very clear with you on that. It's down to the ability to understand the arcs and animation law, which is what a good digital puppeteer, particularly in CG, maybe perhaps not so much in the 2D digital puppetry because it is such a limited medium, is so you understand the arcs and you follow strong appealing arcs. You understand the law of timing, the law of slowing in and slowing out, and work that with the law of arcing. So you have all of that stuff. Now her hair has to change in this pose because we've changed the arc. But then the challenge is to draw it and draw it solid, which the puppeteer, the digital puppeteer of the CG realm, does not face that challenge. And you may say, well, the drawing is then a limit. Well, yes and no, because if you ever wondered how CG just lacks certain appeal in poses, because we cheat dimension all the time. We don't stick to true perspective, you know. We don't have to. As long as we can sell the illusion, that's what's good about it. And we can work with 3D to enhance our effect, which is what I pointed out earlier, and I conceded, look, I spent all that time animating that background in 2D, and it would have looked better, and it would have come out, you know, been a lot faster had I just done it in 3D, because it's the background, right? Animation, we want our characters to shine. So then we have this, right? So then that's going to turn into that. So this is kind of rough, but it's the expression I want. That's all that I'm concerned about. Have I got the expression that I want? We've got the collar. I didn't get the collar and the neck coming through there. Okay. Pum 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 pum. Right. How are we doing for time? 1 hour 21 minutes. Not bad. I'm going to be able to throw in a few breakdowns for you to explain to you about those things. Right? We can see that it's starting to get the feel. Alright, we need to slow this down a lot more. I might throw in a few breakdowns for you just there to explain that to you. Now the hair on this frame definitely needs to change, because I was thinking about the hair from just being plonked down like a sack of potatoes, which she isn't anymore, right? So she's just coming here like this. So now here I've got to take away that, take away that. All right. Now we'll think about this. Pum 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 pum. Let's just have it settle slowly down, almost the same. Bring it in here like that. That's good enough. That's good enough. Bum 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 bum. There we go. Now this is a very loose drawing, but I love it, and I may end up killing it. I need to be careful. It captures the expression I want entirely. It feels almost like I get the vibe of Milk Cow Maid Marian from Robin Hood in my head. Robin Hood for me is the pinnacle of cartoon animal drawings. You will never get better than that, in my opinion. So here we have cartoon animal humanoids, I should say. I mean, if you want cartoon animals that are more animalistic, Lady and the Tramp. These are the heights of that I don't think have ever been equaled nor reached again. This I'm almost sticking with the eyes because they are so much what I want. In fact, they're so strong that I might go back off stream and rework this pose to have the delicacy that I'm getting from this particular expression. I like it. Right, so the nose is here. So we're going to keep the smile subtle like this. Got to get the snout a little bit bigger because she isn't quite Maid Marian from Robin Hood. Right, so we have this, bring that in there. The head will come into the side here like this. What's going on in the chat? They always like to talk about fight scenes and exciting movements in the show and how well it's animated when they don't do the part that wouldn't give credit to, which is due. Fight scenes are probably done by Japanese animators and others from around the world that don't get much recognition. I'm not sure what films you're talking about. The thing is if they're those limited anime films, then they shouldn't get recognition because it's very lazy. It's just a talking head. That hasn't really, they haven't really focused on that. They've spent all their time and money on the action, which is why a lot of anime people who are into anime that want to get into animation sometimes get frustrated when they meet seasoned animators who aren't so impressed by all those fight scenes. And I've gone and broken one down for you and showed you how piss easy it was, to do that stuff. But I gave it the respect it deserved, I'm not undermining it. I'm just saying it ain't so advanced as you think it is, right? It's almost like, when you start really learning this stuff, you come of age, you learn what really makes strong animation, right? The subtleties, all these kind of other things. And yes, you can have that in action too. Action is exciting, and it should be. And just because it's fast and you can pull things, you can cheat in it, it doesn't make it inferior or technically inferior, but it certainly doesn't make it technically superior, right? So that's what it's all about. Now those shows, for example, I really enjoy Demon Hunter. The only thing I can't stand about Demon Hunter is the awful narration saying, we're seeing him running, and you can hear some dubbed voice going, I'm running as fast as I can, I've got to save my sister, oh God, I've got to save my sister, I'm running through the forest, but I can't see anything else. And I'm just thinking, shut the fuck up and let me enjoy the show. I can see you're running. All right? But the thing is, aside from that, it is a great show. I do like it. I am enjoying it. I've watched 2 episodes so far over the span of, 3 months or whatever. But I don't have time really to watch these shows. But I do like it. And I love the character design, and I think some of the art direction is quite nice quality too. But the only thing that makes that show quality animation wise is the action staging and all that stuff, because the actual character acting and all of that stuff is virtually non-existent. It's literally like he killed a demon or something, or he couldn't kill a demon. The demon was lying dead in the tree. Its head was kind of in the tree, but it was just explaining, this kid's pretty tough, I've got to do this, and it's just explaining the story all in dialogue while you're looking at this drawing of an impaled head, and it's very lazy. It's just, extremely lazy stuff. A wind cycle with the hair blowing and a bit of clothing blowing, and then you can hear the character going, I don't know if this kid's tough enough to take the challenge, or this and that, and whatever. It's like, I'm not going to look at that and think, wow, they need so much credit for that, so it's just, he did, Nezuko. So, but I still like the show, and I love the drawings, and I love the designs. So, credit where it's due. It's a great looking show. But the people that want to learn animation because they're inspired by these things, if you want to get, you can do that stuff and get away with it because they're getting away with it. If that's what you want out of life, great. Don't watch me, all right? But if you want to up your game and you want to do high level, which is why I'm here, to reinstate quality in animation, to reinstate a hand-drawn animation and rebrand it as real animation in a world of digital puppetry where CG is now called live action and puppets are now called animation. So I'm here to say, well, those of us who draw and those of us who really appreciate artistry and the finer things in life, which was at one time undermined because it was limited to cartoons, which are often considered for children, little children, when they're not. Even the great Disney stuff, for me, is high art. I would sooner look at a Milk Call drawing than the Mona Lisa. So for me, I would personally, it's just, it is what it is. A lot of it was being distributed under a company that became widely known for theme parks and toys, which is a shame because I love the original Disney movement. But there you go. Well, that is a nice drawing. I like that drawing. Why is it doing that? Storyboard flip. Selected scene. Yes, that all works. All kind of works in inverse without having to flip it again. Storyboard, flip selected scene. There we go. And now we have her looking up at him. Now I'm going to break down this head action and then we're good to go. We are good to start going further. Hunchback of Notre Dame is an amazing movie, but then again, I don't consider Bambi for kids. I really don't. If you like, I grew up watching 1940s movies, 1950s movies, and things like that. Bambi is almost like an opera when you're watching like the musical numbers. You could see where the Fantasia and all that. How classical music and image came together in a movie like that. Everybody just remembers this, and rightly so, because it's adorable. The sweet kids in Bambi, but there's so much more to it than that. Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty. No way are these just mere children's fodder, right? The Lion King, perhaps, but not these films. So this is going to turn. I like this expression too. Let's just put the character on model now. It's being drawn on the background layer, unfortunately. Edit, cut, drawing object, edit, paste. How are we all doing in the chat? Watch Bambi. Watch it. If it's one of the greatest animated films ever made of all time. Richard Williams, all right? A lot of people believe him to be one of the best animators, if not the best animator in the world. I don't, but I have respect for him, a lot of respect for him. A lot of people believe him to be the best animation instructor in the world. Again, I don't, but I have a lot of respect for him and a lot of time for him. Now, why have I brought his name up? Well, the guy was going through a pretentious art phase, and there's interviews of him talking about this. And he mentions how he looked at Bambi as sentimental mush, right? Oh, sentimental mush. He didn't even bother looking at it. He was trying to be an artist, right? And then he looked at it as he was mingling with Ken Harris, Art Babbitt, all these Disney people who were helping him understand real animation. So he looked at this Bambi and he said he got on his hands and knees. He was in absolute awe, in absolute worship of the craftsmanship, of the animation. These guys basically took quadrupeds and they personified quadrupeds without turning them into like two-legged people. What Bambi dancing and falling on the ice, you know, absolutely astounding. Getting his legs tied in a knot, the rabbit trying to untie his legs. You know, what are you doing animation for? Are you doing it to watch anime, to listen to a bunch of bad voice actors reading a shitty script while looking at one shitty drawing? Or are you studying animation to see its mastery at its highest level, drawn, moving at its peakest point? Are you going to be turned off because you don't like the material? Well, then get lost, as far as I'm concerned. If you want to learn animation, if you want to get to the higher levels, you gotta understand what it is at its highest level. At the end of the day, you gotta look, and you gotta stop being a fanboy, and you gotta start appreciating real quality, right? The Lion King is just, these kind of movies, they're just fodder in comparison to Bambi. Not even close. Not even close when it comes to animation. Just, people who grew up on the movie, my childhood, man, get past that. Get past that. This is just, almost Saturday morning in comparison to Bambi. Almost Saturday morning in comparison to Bambi. That's how strong Bambi is. Bambi is just almost untouchable. Almost untouchable. Are there things in Bambi that have been surpassed by improvements of technique and drawing? Certainly. One of the characters that suffers a little bit is the owl. All right, he's a little bit rubber hose. Doesn't quite have the shapes and the solidity of the drawing down as much as as a movie like The Lion King. But you know what? His acting is top brass, top of the game stuff. So yeah, there are things that the newer movies were getting a little bit, but I tell you what, they lacked the artistry. As I said, one of them feels like generic Saturday morning drawings and designs. The other feels like, yes, it's dated, but you look at the poses, you look at the shapes, you look at the curves and straights. That's art. That's high art. Bum, bum, bum. This is a subtle head pose where I'm taking my time a little bit to get it. Right, because I know that I put another extra pose in there like that. Right? And besides, I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm enjoying the conversation that I'm having with the Real Animator Training Library people. Before I move on to the next half of the stream where I break down some of this animation even more, I will talk about the Real Animator Training Library, because that is where you're going to learn how to do stuff like this. That's nice. You can see the head arc leading into this. Very important with that first anticipation. So this is pretty much going to stay. She's not going to move too much from this point here. I'm sick of this program where they're drawing on the background layer. You see, the program slows me down. Just garbage, right? But I'd rather be slowed down by using a toilet, e.g. an animation software or a storyboard software that I'm familiar with, than wasting precious minutes of my life acquiring a new one. You know that TV Paint contacted me a couple of years ago, telling me that that they'll give me a free copy of TV Paint if I use it in my videos. thought, what a fucking waste of my time, right? I mean, all I'm getting is a free copy of your program. Is that all you have to offer, right? Why don't you sponsor or something or do whatever? Then I'll maybe consider it wasting my time, because learning how to use this software program is a waste of my time. Look how fast I can animate something and draw these frames. All of this morning wasted learning the manual of something that I don't need because other people are using it and they feel secure by the fact that other people are using it. Fuck off. I've got better things to do with my time. Plain and simple. Right? And I'm here to help people understand that want to get good at this. It's you that makes it good, right? It's you that makes the animation good with your drawing. Hand-drawn animation. That's what makes it good, right? That's what makes this good. Me, my drawings, your drawings, right? Bum, bum, bum. Right. This drawing may need work in terms of the body, but we're looking at it in here, so I'm not too fussed about it. I want her to feel like she's almost snuggling up to the guy. So now her head is going to turn, and again we're drawing on the background layer. I'll tell you why that happens. Because some bloody moron said, oh, we got to look at a way of updating the program so we can charge more money for it and say we've done something new. So in the thumbnail options, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if you could select the layer that you want to work on in the thumbnail? Yeah, let's now charge another $1,000 for the program for that one new fucking shit feature. Piss off. Honestly, it's just slowed me down tenfold. The amount of time I've wasted on that, right? Anyway, so this goes around like this. Now I'm going to change her expression like this. I'm going to change her expression. This drawing is a bit more of a challenge because it's a higher angle, so let's show you how we solve that. So the sphere of her head is going to be around like this. She's almost front on, so we can have a little bit of the side of her head there like that. Now it's the snout that's really going to sell this, right? We're going to come up and high, right? We're going to make that shape here like that. The nose is going to sit on like that. Now we're going to put the smile on those cheeks. I'll have to not revise, but tidy this drawing up for you to see the things I'm talking about. As I'm like, let's be heavier on it then so you can see what I'm doing, right? So then the chin is going to be hair. Now in the model sheet she hasn't got any kind of thing here to help sell that angle, right? She's just got a little bit. Sometimes we don't even see the side there, but so she's just got something like this, but I'm gonna build her chin up. We're gonna put mass on her chin to sell that particular angle, right? Like this. Then we've got the cheeks, which are going to be hair like this, and the ears at the side, right? So at the moment I'm just dealing with the construction. Now as I've done that, as I was starting drawing with the eyes and flipping, I was drawing a very flat head, right? So I'm going to change those eyes to match the shape of the head that I'm drawing to pull this into place. And the neck is going to come up higher. The cheek's going to be down like this, right? Then the up of the head is going to be hair. All these things are going to help sell the angle, right? We're basically going to shift her mouth up, right? but then we're going to shift some mass. We're going to grow mass in other aspects, other areas of her head, right? I'm going to have to come back and rework it a little bit, but you see how we're kind of pulling it into place, almost like it's like a lump of clay with our lines, right? Those, it's like we've got mass, something needs to be solved here, so we're solving it this way. Now I need to, before I continue with that, I need to get a feel for the body, right? We need to keep the body is going to be twisting this way. This a very, very vague rough that all looks nice in a vague rough way, but we want to bring it all kind of together. Right now, what's going on with the arm there? We didn't really think about the arm. We can just have the arm come up because it's all behind Baloo anyway, but I want to get the feel for the action. And I remember here we were lowering that hand, weren't we? So I'm just going to deal. Again, we're drawing on the BG layer. Seriously. Okay. Paste. Right. So what happens is sometimes when we're looking at our rough, that drawing sways our decision making, which is what happened on my head here. So I'm gonna come in and rework that. Alright, so this is kind of like our idea. You can see I'm really pulling that neck, but it's okay. Now I'm gonna rework it. As long as I get the mechanics right and I kind of see that I've got that head turn working, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna make that very faint. Now we're gonna start pulling this together. So this is the clavicle neck shape. This is the arm. Also, you want to never neglect the body, even though it's whether it's in the shot or not in the shot, because you really want your drawings to work, right? We want our drawings to work. And if we have no real standard from what the head is on when we're just drawing a floating head, it's not going to work, right? In context with what we're trying to do, right? So here, I'm going to put this body here. Now I may need to tone the arc down of this head to have it working here like that, right? Up, down, there like this. I'm going to come and see what people are saying in the chat. We're 1 hour 47 minutes in. Wow, that went by quick. Right, so I wanted to raise her head high. It may be a little too much in terms of what she can do with her neck. So I'm going to think about bringing, oh God, edit, drawing on the background layer. Again, it completely kills my flow. You're probably wondering, why am I so irate from that? Because when you do animation, you want to be in this thing called flow state, right? And by having to constantly turn off, I never draw on other layers because it kills flow state, right? So I don't want to have to worry about stuff like that when I'm doing my animation. So I'm going to put more of a chin, she'll have an underside to her chin like this. You don't want to think of it as flat, right? She'll have an underside to her chin like this. So I have to think of the underside to that chin, right? And bring that in like that. Here. Maybe I might even take the mouth joining the side of the face off, right, which is what we do sometimes. We just have like that, right, and the muzzle, depending on what we're doing to sell the angle, right? It's the underside of her face. Now here, got the eye. It's gonna come like this. Perfect. That's gonna come here like that. Here, here. Like this. It's gonna be more like that. Just shapes. Now this shape is going to come back on itself. Down here. Let's put a little bit of angle on that. Great. Yep. I feel a lot better about that. Bum, 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 bum. Very nice. It's a little big, but we can take it down. Again, I don't want to think too much about volume at this early stage, but just enough to keep my animation working. Yes, perfect. Right, so let's consolidate this now. So we've got the eye here like this. When you're doing an angle, you also want to think about including the cheek of the character, which will also help sell that angle. We've got the nose, which is up here like this. The snout with a little bit of a lower thing here like this. And we're gonna just bring that mouth in. Muzzle is a little wide. Just like that. There we go. Gonna bring those cheeks down. Bring these cheeks in here like that. Bring that round. Bring this through. So this ear we would see less of, perhaps. The ear nicely floats there. Let's just change the angle of that ear. Bring this up and around. This is another thing that we do in feature animation, is we don't shy away from the challenging angles. We don't simply want to just slide a head around and slide the nose higher or keep it lower like a digital puppet. Mr. Leon will know exactly what I'm talking about. To sell the illusion for one frame, I want to slow into this pose a little bit. I want to see this frame. I don't want to use it as a cheat frame, right? I want to see the beauty of the subtlety of that head move working in there like that. Alright, so here we have this, right? So we're going to break it down further so you'll get a feel for the timing, right? Because at the moment, this beginning bit is very important, because he's dancing away with her, la da dee da da da, right? He then decides to sweep her off her feet, and there we've got to this. This is a long movement. This is 18 frames, right? And then this will make it 24 frames as we go into this pose here, and then doink, down she goes. She's going to look up lovingly at him. Then she's going to rest her head on his shoulder. So as I'm scrubbing through it all like this, you're still not really getting context of what we're doing here. And again, this is the importance of building animation and understanding timing in your head beforehand, rather than just laying all a load of shit down and watching it play in the timeline like an insecure whatever, and keeping on adding this and that until it feels right, you know. That's like searching around in the dark, you know. You'll be surprised what you'll find. All right, that way. Right, so I promised you that we're going to go looking at we're going to be looking at breaking this down, so you'll get a better feel for the animation, but you're going to have to bear with me, okay? I've given you 2 hours of my time almost with this amazing value, so some of you are going to have to bear with me while I talk about why I'm here and what I'm doing here. I'm the creator of the world's best learning resource in the craft of hand-drawn animation, the Real Animator Training Library. Not many people can draw and animate to this level while talking. You've seen me do amazing stuff over the course of my live streams over 5 years, far better than this. You can learn from me, from the Real Animator Training Library. I basically built this archive at ambanimation.com called Real Animator Training, basically sharing everything I know with you step by step through various programs and courses. You got a ton of information on this page here and videos to watch which will explain that to you, so I'm not going to do that now. You can click join now, and you can watch work from people who have studied in this program. It's split into 2 sections, the training archives and the edutainment archives. What you're watching at the moment is very much edutainment, okay? Great tips, great inspiration, great motivation. You're getting a lot of value. It's a lot of fun. Some people might even try and sell this stuff as a course to you. But this place is called the Real Animator Training Library for a reason. I'm real with you. I'm straight with you. This is edutainment. It's fun and it's educational. But it's not going to give you what you need if you're not at this level already, or if you're not already a professional that understands a lot of the things that I'm talking about to quite a high level to be able to knock stuff like this out, right? That said, there's a lot of demand for that in the edutainment archives. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but I'll go in there first. You've got animation sessions, pretty much like what you're seeing me doing here now. You've got a variety of them. You can watch these videos to preview what's in here. You've got drawing sessions, Ask the Animator, which are live Q&As. Animation breakdowns, you see me studying famous animated scenes from other things. The How to Animate Your Own Film is probably the best example where you watch me animate a film from scratch. We don't even have characters designed. Over 56 live streams, you see me make a 2-minute film to this level, okay? So you see the characters being designed, the backgrounds being developed, and all of the animation being keyed and drawn in, maybe in between to off stream like this. The whole thing took around about, it's a 2-minute film, the whole thing taken around about 6 24-hour days to complete. 56 live streams you get in there. So that's edutainment. Now, if you're really wanting to get to be able to learn this stuff, to do it to this level, I have had a few questions in the chat asking me about this stuff. How do you do this? How do you do that? The answers are in the training archives. The training archives are the no-nonsense, step-by-step, follow-through videos that, you're basically not going to deviate. You're not going to try and do it your own way. You're learning from a master, okay? I say that unapologetically. I say that as fact. You've all seen me do this. You've all seen me knock out stuff like this live. This whole thing, what you're seeing me doing here, was done live, okay? I animated it live. Right, I may have colored it in and done all the background and all that off stream and tidied it up, but you watched me animate this live while talking to you at the whim of an audience request. Okay, can you animate Baloo and Rebecca dancing? All right, you've basically watched me outboss most of industry animators while not even trying, right? So you can follow step by step from a master. All right, so if you want to deviate and spend your money and then deviate, that's up to you. but these videos are designed to be followed along with step by step. That's why they're done in a very slow manner, where you basically draw while I draw and absorb what I'm saying at the same time while the video is playing. You've got the basics archive, which will take you through these different series of there's videos within here. There's a ball series, there's a pendulum series, there's a walk cycle series, blah blah blah. So you learn the 6 laws of movements in the basics archive. You'll learn about the law of timing. We talked about timing in this, arcing, slowing in, slowing out. You'll learn about follow through, overlap, pose to pose and straight ahead, and the very much sought after solid drawing. So those are the 6 laws of movement that you will learn in the basics archive. We might touch on squash and stretch with the ball, but not really too much. All right. The intermediate archive, you'll do a flower sack, and you'll learn all about the 6 laws of life while consolidating the 6 laws of movement. You'll learn about squash and stretch. You'll learn about primary and secondary action. You'll learn about anticipation. You'll learn about staging. You'll learn about exaggeration, and you'll learn about appeal, all using a flower sack. You'll be then using advanced stick figures. You'll learn about a stick quadruped and learn all the different quadruped walks and locomotion in the intermediate. The advanced archive is completely different. You'll be learning about all those things. You'll be consolidating that, but you'll be learning how to draw on model. You'll be learning how to draw complicated characters, doing 360 head rotations of them, 360 body rotations of them, all to model. So not your own character, my character. You'll be learning how to draw on model and how to keep consistency with that. You'll be learning how to put personality in there, and there'll be a dialogue video for you to study and try with your own dialogue there. The seminars archive is not step by step. It is merely like watching what you're watching me do today, but a lot more serious. No cursing, a lot less chat with the audience, and more like a professional animation seminar you'll be watching in the animation lectures archive. This is the world's best learning resource in the craft of hand-drawn animation. We have people who've worked at Disney buying these archives. We have people who've worked at Nickelodeon buying these archives. We have people who've worked at Cartoon Network buying these archives. We've also had people who've graduated at CalArts buying these archives. We've had people who've studied from Don Bluth buying these archives. We have people who have also been to Animation Mentor buying these archives. So I think I've got a dog in the fight by claiming it's the world's best learning resource. And another reason it's the world's best learning resource is it's a fraction of the price of all of those places. This is the most valuable for price course you'll ever getting. All of these archives combined add up to the price of an expensive iPad with a few accessories or a mid-range laptop. So you're getting the world's best animation training for the price of a child's toy, okay, which is what they get at Christmas if they're good. Okay, so anybody talking about the price in this place, clearly you need to get real before you want to be real. Okay, so you can save yourself a ton of money by buying bundles of the training archives, or you can buy one archive at a time and study at your own leisure in that regard. That is Real Animator Training, the world's best learning resource in the craft of hand-drawn animation, the place which doesn't concern itself with the right way to learn animation or the wrong way to learn animation. As far as I'm concerned, the builder of this course, there's only one way to learn animation, and that's the real way, right? That's this way. Okay, so go check it out. Now, before I continue with our Talespin animation by talking a little bit more about the timing and illustrating to you what we're going to do with the breakdowns, I am going to have a quick look at the chat to see if there's any questions I can answer while I'm drawing or while I'm going through the chat. So let's do that. Let's turn off the other mic. So we talked about Bambi and other stuff. We answered about storyboards. I'm not going to go so high. We've got drawing to do. I was just browsing the Roundtables channel. I don't know what that is. And I saw a bunch of thumbnails for the Owl House, Amphibia, and Start versus the Forces of Evil. And it just upset me how they all look like the same and have the same smile. Well, there you go. Just don't watch that. Watch more real stuff. Um, Contemporary animation is just absolutely deplorable. Well, I thank it because it gives the benchmark for the complete opposite of what I do. So it's easy to find what I do, right? Um, I was showing my friends this morning how magnificent the animation in Pinocchio, just the music box, was, and I had to remind them that they had no idea, they had no computers in 1940. Well, the thing is it's not so much about whether they had computers or whether they don't have computers. I don't. When we look at animation, I don't want people to think to make excuses or to put it down to, the fact is we do have computers now. So it's kind of irrelevant whether they did or they did. I don't want to patronize Pinocchio and pat them on the head like, and they did it with no computers. I'm like, well, it's just amazing artwork. It's amazing staging, and it's convincing. I know what it is. I don't think it can be done better. If you do it with a computer, it might feel more modern, but will the illusion look any better because it feels more modern? The feeling is the secret to it. So we know what it is. It fits in its environment perfectly. It doesn't stand out and it doesn't look wrong. So it's great. It works. Yeah, the Gummy Bears series was great. It was like the Black Cauldron had just come out, and they wanted to do a little bit of work from that. I remember that comment about fight scenes. Pinocchio is brilliant animation. Yes, it is. When I was a kid, I liked watching Bambi. It is a beautiful movie about a baby deer. I feel the original animators of the golden era had to think deeply about how to make these characters act and perform with real expression and emotion. The thing is audiences have come to expect it's everything. As I've been doing animation as a business, I've had to market and I've had to find ways of communicating to sell a product, okay, which is the Real Animator Training Library. So at the same time, I've become reanalyzed the way I look at filmmaking and commercial filmmaking. Ultimately, it's all about conditioning people so they'll buy into it the next time, which is sad because I feel that the purity as we evolve in this art form, the purity of the complete art, which is the expression, is getting more and more diluted. The reason I'm saying that is not to say, oh, it was all so much better in the old days. Is now, it's not that today's animators or puppeteers are bad or they're shit or they just don't know. Some of them are actually very good. But everybody has been conditioned to think that cartoon characters all talk like this, where they'll get into a pose here and go like this, and then they'll go like this, and they'll go like this, and then they'll look here like this, and they'll go like this. So that even when I see the live action referencing that these animators are making for their own characters, suddenly they stop being a human being, they stop being anything with any kind of subtlety, and they start acting like this. And they start filming themselves doing this, or doing this, or this Pixar, very Pixar kind of thing. Suddenly everybody turns into that character when they're filming their own reference. And I'm like, there was this Disney thing with this big butch woman, this new Disney film about some spacecraft, some alien thing, and they land, and there's this big butch woman. And the minute she punches the guy like, oh yeah, like that, and walks off, I just turned it off. I just said, fucking shit, right? It's not the guy that did it doesn't know how to animate. He probably, or she could probably animate really well. It's just the same old shit. It's like every cartoon character has to behave like that. And the reason they're doing it is because audiences are conditioned to think that's how cartoon characters act. Isn't that sad? I find that very sad, because it takes the level of sincerity that they used to have right down here. So now that when they think they want to make something sincere for the grown-ups, they're going to make it look like realistic lions and call it live action. So it's not cartoon, because the lions are now so deadpan that they can barely even raise an eyebrow, and that makes it so convincing and so realistic that it's for mature, subtle audiences. Fuck off. As far as I'm concerned, just whatever. So what I'm trying to do with real animator training is get right back into this. These are drawings. We're drawing where we're now free from the parameters of this style and that style, whatever style you want. Style is an expression that has molded over time to appeal to a certain person. It's appealed to you and you've adopted that style, but now you can put your own things into there, and basically you can start expressing it and getting down to the purity. Well, as I've been acting as this character, I haven't been trying to overdo it. I've been trying to get into what I think the character is, and I've been thinking about the path of action, thinking about the character's reacting to the way it's been lifted and movement, and trying to be as natural as possible, but then at the very same time subconsciously understanding that I'm working with a cartoon medium. Therefore I'm going to have to apply these two fundamental laws of animation, which is exaggeration and appeal. And I think people don't think about those laws anymore. They all just execute the same thing over and over again, to the point that it's no longer exaggerated and it's no longer appealing. It's just the same old shit. I love when the owl is giving them the talk. So do I. You're walking around and his head's going in 360 like that. Cheshire Cat is fun. Again, don't worry about the transparency effect. It's all lab work in the film. Don't get concerned. I don't know how they did that effect and that effect. That's not the animation, right? That's not the thing that makes it good. In regard to the Cheshire Cat disappearing. I know I'm an anime fanboy, but I just wanted to say some cartoon creators don't know what they're doing. You know what? I saw something the other day and it shocked me, and I said that illustrates why, Studio Ghibli, I always say yes, I love them, but animation wise they were nothing in terms of technicality to Disney. Because if you take away their art direction and their drawings, what have you got? You've got that earwig witch thing. I can't even remember what it's called. They made some CG thing and they were all trying to blame Miyazaki-san or whatever, but it just looked so cheap, so bad, so stilted, so stiff. Like, as much as I hate Frozen and Tangled and all that kind of crap, it wasn't even anything to those films. So the only thing that makes Studio Ghibli films amazing is the art direction, the design, and the drawing and all that. The animation has always been average. So you then put Ghibli puppeteers, which don't really exhibit those laws in their 2D films that the Disney ones exhibit, and you look in the 3D realm, that exposes it for what it is. So that's another thing to think about. Some cartoon creators don't know what they're doing and it upsets me. Don't want to come off their high horses and admit that Disney is better than all of you. Yeah, well, it was. Notice I couldn't believe, I'm going to get back to drawing in a minute, but I couldn't believe when I was typing the title of this video what I just did subconsciously, and I looked up and I laughed. I thought, let's animate Disney, and then I went back and I put the word good in brackets, because Disney no longer is good. It used to be good. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's just what it is now. Like, It's no longer so good. There were shows with bad animation, but design is hilarious. Hey Zentron, how are you? Moitunes, hello. The new movie of Chip and Dale was 3D animation but trying to look like 2D, really sad. I was shocked because someone I really respect was a couple of animators I really respect worked on that. I haven't seen all the animation in 2D, but I saw the trailer and the 2D just looked awful. So I didn't even look into it. It just looked awful. It looked like some kind of weird gimmick that some cheap commercial that didn't have the budget just used some filter. Anyway, right. So how many puppeteers are needed to animate a guy fixing a light bulb? None. You use motion tweening with easing in the curve editor. One day, Mr. Leon. Um, uh, that was bloody, that crappy reduced frame rate thing that 3D anime does. Okay, right. We have chatted enough. We've had fun with each other enough. Now I'm just going to have fun. And some of you are either going to have fun watching me having fun drawing, or some of you are going to get bored and leave. As you please. As you please. Okay, right. So, let's now give you some gold to the people who decided to stay with me through my Real Animator Training Library infomercial. And through the chat, you're going to get rewarded with some serious breakdown tips here. Right. Now, Mr. Leon in the chat often asks me, he's an industry animator, but he asks me, what's the difference between extremes, keys, and breakdowns, right? Well, you're seeing, I started out with the extremes, all right? I then put in some keys. This arguably could be a new extreme. I then put in some keys, and now I'm going to proceed to break it down, right? That ended up being quite a nice drawing, that. There we go, right. Okay, so between here and here, right, I'm going to be quick because it all has to be kind of redrawn. And it's superfluous for me to go and spend too much time. So this is an easy one because I want to do a very slow movement here, right? I'm just plonking this almost like an in-between, halfway between my character's action, right? And the thing about these kind of drawings is when you're at this rough stage, I know these are kind of clean, but it really is a waste of time trying to get it all fitting and working nice because it's such a subtle piece of animation. You have to get it completely solid and locked down before you're going to start putting the stuff between it, because you're going to lose volume, right? So I'm just going to very lightly do this stuff. I'm going to keep this frame, right, like this. I'm going to stick to the first frame more so than that frame, right? So there we see her getting happy. And I will explain to you it's a linear movement, right? It's almost like we've gone into, it's not slow-mo, but I almost want it to feel like, time is standing still for her at this point, right? If I wanted it in slow-mo, I'd have to animate it on ones, right? Otherwise, it just wouldn't really look, it just wouldn't really sell. The point, okay, so this is going to go all in the middle here, like this. Right, this is where it's a little bit scrappier, but I can see what I'm doing here, like this. Bum, bum, bum. Then we've got this stuff here, like that. Some. Right, there we go. All right, that's enough. Right, so just halfway in between there. So this would be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Okay. 15, 13 to 19. So 6 frames between hair and hair. Right. Perfect. Okay. Quarter of a second between hair and hair. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Maybe 9, 11, 13, 15. Maybe we can slow it down more. Right. 17, 19, 21. Possibly. Yeah, maybe around 18, 19 to 21 frames here like this. So now I'm going to go between hair and hair. Right, so let's do that. And we're all doing it on halves because I want it linear. So as she's come up here like this, I'm going to think about the arc coming down. Right, so maybe I'm not going to arc it back. Okay, I've traveled this way. What do? Right? We've traveled this way, so we're going to arc it around this way, right? Just like the pendulum, we learned the pendulum weighted swing, right? Or we can arc it this way. Where's the next frame going? I think it might be nicer. It might be nicer to arc it this way, right? So we've come up this way, then we're going to come around this way, right? So I'm going to change my timing here. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, a little kind of circular action. Now is the time to play, right? With the law of arcing. This is what it's all about. So I might try arcing it down this way. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. That'll mean I'll have to play with the head turn a little bit more. So I have to move away from the puppetry of staying around that. But let's do it this way, because we're creating a circle into the next motion. Look, circle into the next motion. You want nice, clean arcs. Beautiful stuff. Yes, right. So we're going to put that on a half here like this. I'm going to have the mouth like this. The head, the line of the head is then going to turn this way. I'm not going to open her eyes just yet. I'm going to keep her head this way. There's that. Let's keep them close the mouth. That gives it a lot more personality. Perfect. You see, it's all about thinking about the arc. We want to immediately ask the question about the arc more than anything else. That's what matters. So the ear is going to come up, then it's going to come down. So we're going to get a nice little circle in that ear. Remember, there's some in-betweenings to be done here. So we're going to get a nice little circle effect. Let's take the ear higher. Let's take this lower. It's going to come up again. Very nice. Right. So this is going to change its angle as she readjusts. So this little stuff that I'm showing you here isn't even done on some Disney features, right? They used to do it all the time because I've spent my personal hours, and some of you see me doing this live, studying animation breakdowns, right? Seeing the arcs, what's putting them together, and I'm getting you guys to do that in the training library as well, right? Who are part of the global Facebook community. So as we're kind of like doing that stuff, I'm kind of looking to say, what did they do there? What did they do, right? And some guys play it really straight, and other guys are, it's like you don't want to all the time make the arc 100% perfect. And I'm going to put this hand on thirds, right? Because I think thirds is a better spacing for it, right? But then some guys do it a lot more, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to show you how to get a lot more life out of your animation. And do not worry, I'm playing with the dimension of my character's face here, and I'm not afraid of how I'm going to be able to convey that with my drawing, right? It's easy. Don't be afraid of drawing. Cracking the code is Alberto Mago. I've worked with Alberto. He was sweeping the floor of Uli Meyer Animations, and he did a few scenes for Uli later on, and it's amazing to see just how far he's come. He also was really younger than me. I thought I was the youngest. I was straight out of school. I'd come off Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights. I then went and did El Cid the Legend for a Spanish Filmax animation, which I believe Alberto probably worked on as well, because he's from Spain. And I met Alberto on a German movie called The Jester Till. I don't know, the name is not The Jester Till on YouTube. The whole thing's on YouTube. And he did the most amazing scenes in there. And he was just the youngest one, and we would all tease him because the way he would call everything Israbish. He would always say Israbish, Israbish. So every time he looked at his own work, he looked at everybody else's work, Israbish, Rabish. So everybody would like copy him and mimic him saying that word all the time. But we'd all crowd around the pencil test machine whenever he'd film his work. He was just outstanding, and he didn't even care much for the animation. He liked to do his own paintings and drawings, and he just loved art and drawing and painting. Extremely high level, high performance individual, amazing. And he recently won an Oscar, and if anybody deserves an Oscar, it would be Alberto. So I'm so happy to have witnessed that. Right, so this goes around like that. And then, although I must say that the whole Love, Death and Robots things doesn't interest me. I don't like the look of it, so I haven't watched it. But that's just me. It's just, where am I going to invest my time? I would rather watch Demon Hunter, right? I just prefer the look of it, right? So I'm not interested in that whole thing. It's just yeah, not my thing. Right, so now I want to get from hair to hair, right? So we're going to stay in this pose a little bit, And then I'm going to have to anticipate that. So I'm going to close her eyes in this pose, right? I'm going to close her mouth like that. So sometimes you'll meet people in your life and you'll just instantly know, you know, where that person is going. You can see. But then one of the problems we all make, we all saw, whether Alberto was sweeping the floor at Uli's or whatever, we all knew that this guy is a super talent. He's just like, he's just amazing. But one of the problems we all make, and I made it at the same time, and which is why I'm here, I can speak of it and share it with you, and I know that a lot of you feel this way, and you guys didn't even work in the industry, but a lot of you are feeling this way because of the world we live in right now with Instagram. The way people, girls or young men even today, not just girls, are looking at fitness models and feeling very insecure about their own bodies from being bombarded with all this stuff on Instagram. It's the same with artists. I feel people are very insecure about their work and their development when they see somebody else who is super talent, great, somebody who they admire, and they feel that they can never get to that level, or they feel so inferior when they naturally do the natural thing of comparing themselves with the thing that they're recognizing as amazing, as great, as superior, and feeling some form of self, whatever. I can personally say that as a young guy working with Alberto and thinking that I was shit hot, Alberto was like a punch in the face for me when I was on that movie. I'm like, well, I think I'm shit hot, and here's this guy who's way younger than me, who, let's face it, he's doing a far greater job than I am on this project. And now I handled that the wrong way compared to the way I would handle it now, which is why I'm sharing this. I'm using this opportunity to share this with you. I love to share my growth with you in the hope that you don't suffer the same things I suffered, and you can ultimately, we've all got to go through what we're going to go through. It's a bit foolish of me to think a few words on the internet is going to immediately change years of habit patterns, but I can try. So just because we don't realize, when we praise others, many times we deny ourselves, either subconsciously or consciously. We're like, well, that's just him, or I could never do that, or he's like that. And by saying things like that, we are indirectly focusing that we're not like that, or we'll never be like that, and we're programming our subconscious mind because the subconscious mind gives you what you ask it to give you. Like, so you say, I'll never be like that. The subconscious mind is, okay, you'll never be like that. So let's just keep watching others being better than you, because that's what you're in the habit of doing, and then feeling that you've still got a ways to go, and just to somehow do something but never get to that level, because that's the godlike level that you've put that person on, and you'll never be that. Well, now my mentality is very much differently. Like, I'm like, well, this person is absolutely amazing. Isn't that fantastic? And I've had the opportunity to work with this person. I've learned from this person, and I'm going to use the things that are going to make me even better, even more amazing. I'm the star of my own movie. I can't worry too much about this other person, so I may as well bask in their glory and take what I can from it to make my star shine even brighter than what it already does, you know? And I think that's a whole much healthier way of approaching all this stuff than beating yourself down while lifting on the energy of someone else, who actually that energy could be taken in two ways. Good energy or bad energy. It's up to you how you use it, right? So hair, I've kind of settled hair like this. So we've got this, and then she's gonna be lifted up, right? Like this. Then put down, right? So we've slowed it down a little bit, but this needs a lot of in-betweening to read. Like, then he'll put her down, right? Then she'll put her head on his shoulder, right? Which we're going to continue. I'm going to do one more drawing between hair and hair, right? Bum, bum, bum. Now we're going to go between hair and hair, because hair I barely moved the two, right? So between hair and hair, I'm going to put it on, I could put it on a half, actually. I think I'll put it on a half to give it some weight, right? So we're going to put it on a half. My initial thought was to put it on a third, but I'll put it on a half through there like that. I need to think about the body mechanics of this. I'll have it all on a half. And I don't want to spend too much longer on these drawings, because they'll all need to be, a lot of them as breakdowns will need to be redone. I'm mainly laying this out for your benefit. If I was off stream, I would start tidying up my keys a little bit more. Some of these breakdowns I would just do to this level without even drawing further, just so I would know and see the arc and say, yes, the arc is good. But there's no real point in me drawing too much, because the keys need to be tidied more. Right, so we're going to open the eye, so this sudden eye pose will read. Right, and her mouth was closed there, so she's going to open it before changing into the other mouth shape. Right, so these are the questions I'm asking myself more than is the character looking right, right? This is the, unfortunately everybody wants the, it's like the gold at the end of the rainbow, right? Everybody wants the solid drawing and the character to look right, without really asking the right questions at the right time. The character looking right doesn't matter at all, right, at this stage, right? It's more about the put your head on my shoulder song. I know that song, right? So there we go, right? So now we can see the weight of her being lifted. So he's dragged her away. So now you can kind of see the continuity happening. They're dancing. He whisks her away, then puts her down, and then she puts her head on his shoulder. You see how those little additional weight tricks are now working so much better? Boom. Right. So now what I'm going to do here as a breakdown, so you get a feel of the timing. is we need to go between here and here, right? Now, this could be done the easy way of just slowing into this pose here, right? And double blinking, which is what I was thinking. But now, I'm now going to think of her, turn her head here, and I'm going to stay in here acting, right? Secondary action. So she's gonna glance at him, right? Like that. So here I'm really not caring about is it looking like the character. I'm just thinking about the acting, right? So she's gonna glance, and we're gonna kind of keep the body pretty much in the pose that it's in. So I'll worry more about the body a little off stream. It's more about the talking of the head here. Really subtle stuff, right? Honestly, what you guys are getting for free on YouTube, I'd wager that lots of people going to animation school today, paying to see a top flight, old school Disney animator from the Renaissance talking to them, they still wouldn't get this, right? So enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can, right? So this is going to be, she's going to look and then lift her head. So I need to break this more. Dum, dum. You see, that doesn't read at the moment, right? Because I've just, no idea what I'm doing with the timing, right? So this is what I'm breaking it. This is why it's called breaking it down, all right? So I'm gonna throw in another frame here, which is a third of the way up. So that nose is gonna be more likely here, all right? Where we'll then do the slow into this pose here, right? With the character blinking. On this pose, right? So she's gonna be blinking here, and I'm not too concerned about drawing the head right on this pose. I just want to scrub it. This is purely for you guys. I wouldn't really bother with this drawing yet, because the other one is just way too rough. But I want you guys to understand what I'm doing here. So I'm throwing this in for your benefit. There. Boom. Right. Mr. Leon is off. So here, right? So then we're gonna stay in this with a 10 to 12 frame slow in, right? This here, boom. And she's gonna put the head on the shoulder. So you can see the continuity now. I don't know why Laurel and Hardy music is being used, but it is, right? So now we've got the attitude change, right? So from here to here, right? That's fine, but I will break down to slow into this. 2 hours 44, not bad. So the path of action here, this is going to arc like this, right? It's not going to arc in a straight line. So the nose is going to be around about here. Right. Then we've got the underside of the chin, which we're going to introduce. Right. Probably going to be more of a front angle here, but at the moment as I'm working rough, I'm going to do the drawing that I feel illustrates what I want, right? Out of it, the action more so. Right, so this probably going to be something more like this. Put the ear around here. This will turn here. This shape here like this. Yeah, there we go. That solves that. So that will do for the time being. Boom, 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 boom. And we're going to slow in that nose. Could be a little higher, but possibly about here. Alright, a little higher. Goes a little bit high there, but we want to slow into that, but not too much, right? We just want a natural movement there. Not going to spend any time on the body there. This is just yeah, so now you can see the anticipation before putting her head on the shoulder, right? So then the head on the shoulder is going to be something like this, straight like this, right? So the nose, maybe I will do something like this with the eye. Maybe that's a bit too much, but we need to try. Right. Perhaps tone that down slightly. That's more what we want for the eye line. Right. The eyebrows are this expression. Right. So the nose is here. Right. Just like that. Head's a little small in relation to that one, but it'll do. The muzzle can come here like this. Find a happy medium between those two muzzles, and we tidy up the frame even more, right? Some drawings need to be worked a little bit more than others, but that'll work for the arc. That's what I want for the arc. That's good enough for now, right? Gotta remember the guy's big shoulder is gonna be in the way as well. So this is hair. The arm is going to be coming up. Bum, 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 bum. I want to convey this roll of the head. I don't just want her to slap her head on his shoulder, right? I want to convey the roll of the head and the nose, the circular arc. This whole thing is filled with subtle arcs, right? You see the different weight shifting, the time, all in a little scene of someone's head. You can see she's being put down and resting her head on his shoulder, right? And now I'm scrubbing it at speed, right? But it still needs to be slowed down even more with more drawings. But now you're getting to feel that sense of weight and timing and the whole thing, right? Which I knew would work from the start without wasting time trying to draw and see how it would feel, right? With all this unnecessarily insecurity of pulling and playing in the timeline, right? So you can see how the two scenes work together like that. I'm watching my own playback just for view, right? So those two scenes are going to look very nice together. Right, so now just one drawing left. Again, this next drawing is purely for your benefit because I don't need to do it, but I want you to really get a feel for the timing. And I get a kick out of looking like even more like a badass on the live stream, right? So when you see it all work and it all looks great, right? So the nose comes here like this. Let's put the mouth. Right, so this is going to eventually be the 10 to 12 frame slow-in that we will do at the end to keep things nice and slow as she rests her head on his shoulder. Right, so I'm just going to draw an outline of that hair shape because the drawings are just too vague now to even attempt to really give any sort of consistency. So that will do. That will put here a few lines in the right place for you to see the path of action to get that subtle head roll there. So those of you in real animator training that do the varied head turn with that head, robotic head looking from all those angles, I hope when you're watching this you can see why I take you through that and where it will result in your own training eventually of understanding the structure of the head, the subtle arcs, being able to do whatever you want, right, without reference. Okay, so we can clearly see she's being put down. So we've made this shot, which is her head. It's all about her experience. You know, we've got a nice wide shot with the two of them dancing away there. And this shot is all about her experience. But we've conveyed a sense of action in that, right? So she's been taken and put down with the weight all in the head, okay? So I could have done this with anime speed lines and just had her mouth get bigger with anime speed lines and then switch to this drawing, right? Boom. Then switch to this drawing and then left it there and people would have said, yeah. But we're taking it to a new level, right? We're showing you the subtleties of real mechanics, arc, weight being used to make extremely nice animation. And it's been my absolute pleasure to be able to knock out this beautiful scene for you today. Alright, now I'm gonna finish a lot of that off stream. As I listen to audiobooks, I'm continuing to work on my own project, The Groundhopper. But I think I will be doing this. I'll be doing a few days of this to keep my drawing nice and varied, keep me very much continuing with the content for my live streams as well, because when I make a personal project, it creates good content, but a lot of, in terms of pushing out the cause, getting people more aware, people like to see familiar stuff. Alright, so let me quickly have a look at the chat before I sign off. Bum, bum, bum. Really talented animator I follow worked on it and tried to give the notes to the CGI people. They were used to hyper realistic CG and needed help getting the CG chip to work. I don't even want to watch it. I'm having fun watching you have fun animating this fun looking animation. That's great, Silver Sun. Recently, Arc System Works fighting games have been something similar, using a style of 3D. Did they? What did Arc System do again? Was that Guilty Gear? Your rough drawings are clearer than my clean drawings. Okay, that was when someone talked about Alberto. I feel like thinking about that stuff has a negative effect on my animation and my performance. Yep, it certainly does. If it does, then it does. So don't think about it. Okay, the lovely Hervonia Baker has just joined us at the end of the stream. CP Video Creations, it's Caden. How are you, Caden? Good to see you. Finish in betweening the first part of the dog walk cycle. Well, we'll have a look at that on the review stream, which could be tomorrow. I think I covered a lot of the wall, so now there's not much left. So I've got to let the wall build back, and then we'll start looking at some more work in there. Okay, people, thank you so much for joining me on this stream. It was my pleasure to give you an absolute master demonstration today of real animation in action, and to inspire you all to work at being real animators via the craft of hand-drawn animation. As ever, I will be continuing my live streams this week. We'll see, I might do some more on this. We might block out the next scene with Baloo gulping. Depends how far I get with this. But in the meantime, keep drawing, keep believing in yourselves, and ultimately that means remember to keep it real. Okay? And I'll see you all on the next live stream. Bye-bye.